continue to Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. I am your host, as always, Krista Gurka. And today we're diving into what I feel is like a super important question that every boutique fitness or wellness business owner should consider at some point. And that is, should you ditch selling packages and instead really rely on a membership model? So, in the last episode, we did talk all about how recurring revenue and memberships can work for your business, even if you are a private pay clinic, such as, massage therapy, physical therapy. And it's just really getting your mind around a new way of thinking for your business, for the profitability of your business, and for the sustainability of your business. So now I know a lot of you rely heavily on selling class packages, and I certainly did for many, many, many years. And that feels normal, right? Because that's just the way it's done in this industry. Clients like the flexibility, they like getting a discount. You like the buy-in of having 10 or 20, and what you're thinking is like, oh, they're buying into 20 sessions. This is going to be great. I'm getting the money up front. You're giving your people options. But over time, what's really happening is when you rely solely on these class packages, it does create unpredictable cash flow and messy scheduling. And it really creates a challenge for when you're going to be planning the growth of your business, whether you need to hire, whether you need to put more classes on the schedule, and so far, so forth. And what's the word? What's that is? So forth and so far. I don't know what that little thing is. But anyways, so the other thing is, as always, if you are looking to eventually exit your business, get a partner, get private equity to invest in you or sell, right? Recurring revenue is what a lot of prospective buyers want to see. They want to see, oh, yeah, they're bringing in $50,000 every month. Like it's the same. And it's been consistently that way for the last year, for the last 24 months, for the last 36 months. So recurring revenue is a really, really big, important part of every business. So what I am going to walk you through today is, I'm not saying that class packs are bad. What I'm saying is I want you to consider, should they be repositioned and have a different space on your service offerings. So for example, it's not the main pricing option, but you have pricing alternatives, right? So, and how can you switch from a class package model to a membership model? And we're going to discuss all of that in this episode. So be sure to stay tuned. So, like I said, I want to definitely make sure that I emphasize that I do not believe class packs are evil. I just don't believe they're meant to be the backbone of your business. All right. So they are best, class packages are best for clients who value flexibility and are willing to pay more for that convenience. Okay. I, for example, because of my crazy schedule, being a member of a fitness center would be challenging for me because my schedule is crazy all the time, right? So I value being able to buy a class pack where I know I don't have a use it or lose it. I know that I can get in 10 sessions in like 3 months or 6 months or what have you. Now, I am a member of some other places, like I have a membership to a massage, but that's only once a month. So for that, I really enjoy that. And I can get in once a month. I know I can commit to that. What's really hard for my schedule is to know that each and every month I can do 8 or 12 classes, because some months I might be able to do 16 and my schedule is really great, and other months I'm not. So I value that. And to be honest, I am willing to pay more for having that convenience, right? So benefits, some of the benefits are class packages, or they give customers a longer time to use the sessions. They generally, for the business, usually will carry a higher per class margin, like a profit margin, than memberships, but they do create lower stability in your revenue. And ultimately, what I'm going to show you today is they actually oftentimes create less revenue overall. All right, we're going to get into that a little bit later. So, the mistake that I see a lot of business owners make, and myself included, because I did this for years and years and years, I really thought that like a membership model wouldn't work for Pilates until I was actually like, well, if you want different results, you have to try to do something different. So, most studios, often studios or physical therapy practice, they rely on the class packs trying to accommodate everyone. And what ends up happening is you get this feast or famine cycle. So you'll get all these class packs in, like you'll see that your revenue will be like high 1 month because you get all these class packs in, and then the next 2 months will be low. And then it will be high again and low. But it's really hard to budget and understand how to grow and understand what's coming down the pipeline. Do you need to add classes? Do you need to add services? Will you have enough to pay for all these capital investments, et cetera, et cetera? So the way that I want you to think of class packs are that they are a luxury. They're convenient and they should be marketed as such and priced as such, right? When you have luxury and you have convenience and you have flexibility, they should technically be a higher ticket item because you're offering more value to that person. And when we talk about how you should message this to your prospective clients, we're going to get into that. So, what happens when your business relies solely on class packages? Kind of just like I was talking about, like your revenue spikes when people buy packages, especially if you have high ticket packages for like private sessions and people are spending $1,000, $1,500, maybe even $2,000. You'll get a bunch of sales and you'll be like, oh, awesome, 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 great, great, great. But then the next month it's going to be like a little bit lower because people have to use those. So it takes 2 to 3 to 6 months sometimes to use up those packages. And so it's really hard to predict what next month's income is going to be, which also means it's hard to decide if you can afford to hire new instructors or invest in marketing when you don't know 100% what is coming in. And clients will tend to show up a little bit less because there's no use it or lose it pressure. And then their behavior gets a little bit inconsistent. So now what I'd love to do is talk about what you can do instead. I'd really invite you, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, to go back and listen to last week's episode where I discussed all of the benefits of a membership model and how you can consider if this is the right model for your visit. Now, the way that I advise rolling out memberships is to do a set number of visits per month. If you go back and listen to the episode from last week, I'm not a big believer in like unlimited memberships for Pilates studios specifically, but for yoga studios, I think they work great. All right. And they will become your best friend when it comes to stable cash flow. You get recurring monthly revenue every month. Clients will get into a routine. They come to, once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times a week. It gets easier to predict your revenue, which gets easier to see your trends and your growth over time. And is there a risk that people might cancel? Yes, of course there is. But with the right onboarding and the right systems and the right processes and the right engagements, most will stay a lot longer than you think. All right. And so I really encourage you to go back to that episode and listen to my thoughts and my feelings and my advice on growing a membership model for your business. Now, what if you're like, yeah, but I don't really want to rely only on memberships, and that's not what my clients want? Great. You can do some sort of a hybrid model. And this is what we do at Pilates in the Grove. So our lead in is really memberships. It is a lower barrier to entry in terms of pricing. It gets people more consistent. And so for people that are regular visitors, we really push the memberships, even if they're not going to be regular. But for example, our 4 class a month membership is $129. So it's a lot lower that cost, that price, than having someone have to spend $385 to buy a 10 pack. Okay. So the way that we position class packs are great for seasonal people, for business people like myself that are like, oh, I just can't commit to, twice a week at the same time. So I'd rather do a 10 pack. Great. People that are okay understanding that they're going to pay a little bit more for the flexibility, right? So not all clients are the same. Their needs are not all the same. But what's really important to do when you're matching your pricing models to your client base is understand that memberships are really, really great for regulars, people that are going to come consistently, people that want the convenience of just like an auto renewing, like Netflix, like Prime, like all these things. And usually some people are like, oh, if they're going to come 3 to 5 times a week, yes, maybe for an unlimited, but we even have a class pack that's 4 sessions a month at $129. And what's great about that is our new client special is $79. So it's really like very close to that new client special mark. So it's not like, oh, you got this new client special for $79. Now your next price point is $350. That's like 6 times the amount that they were paying. So having that intro offer, that new client special close to a next buffer, then maybe they start coming more. And then you're like, hey, would you like to upgrade to the 8 class a month membership? It's really great. So they're a lower barrier to entry and they really get people on a consistent schedule and allows you as studio owner to see how much availability you actually have in your schedule. So the class packs are best for people that maybe don't know if they're going to be consistent. Great. Start with a class pack. Okay. One of the things you can do for class packs too is if you're finding that people aren't really buying the 10 or the 20, is decrease the class pack visit. So like maybe you can do 8 or 12 versus 10 and 20, and it helps you with cash flow. So people will have to renew those and buy those more often. Oftentimes people think, oh, well, my 20 class card is the best. My 40 class card is the best. But if you continue to discount those sessions, so let's say just for even numbers, 10 sessions is $350. 20 sessions is $600. And then maybe 40 sessions is like $1,000. Well, then, if you're selling that 40 class card for $1,000, that means that each class is only costing the person $25, which for your profit margin might not be great. So yeah, you're getting a ton of money up front, but your profit when they use that class is not great. Okay. So I want to give you a kind of like a real life example of when we research and we studied this for, because when people were telling me like I should consider transitioning to a membership model, I didn't really believe them that people that have class packages buy them less often. So I did this kind of research basically, and I tracked and analyzed the data. I think it was for like a 14 to 18 month period of time. All right. So here's what I'm going to show you. So like a 10 class card is $350. A 12 session membership. So in our studio, 10 classes, we just recently increased the prices, but back when I did this was 10 classes was $350, $35 a class, and a 12 class membership was $349. So if they came 12 times a month, it was $29 a session. All right. If they came 10 times, so they didn't use those last two, it's still the same as a 10 class card. Okay. So now, if the clients, both clients attend classes 2 to 3 times a week, right? And you're talking over a 12-month period and they're not churning, meaning like they're not canceling or deciding they're not coming back to your studio. Here's what we found. Okay. So over 52, let's just do 12 months. All right. So 12 months because they're monthly memberships, right? So if you have a person that's on that package, that membership, 12 sessions a month for 349 times 12, they're going to spend $4,188 with you. Okay. Now, if you have a person that's buying 10 classes and they don't have to use those every month, and let's just say they're both equally coming 10 times a month. Okay. So this person comes 10 times a month, but then they're like, oh, 1 week they're on vacation. So they don't come that week, but then they don't make any of them up the next week. Then they're like, oh, yeah, I do have to buy another package, but I'm going on vacation for a week or two. So I'll just buy it when I come back. So we saw that on average, people that purchase class packs buy them less frequently. So you would think every 10 weeks, I mean, not every 10 weeks, every 8 weeks for the most part, or no, every 5 weeks, if they're coming twice a week, someone's buying a new class package, right? So if there's 52 weeks in a year and every 5 weeks they're buying new, they're going to buy 10 class packages. Right? Now, if that's 10 class packages, okay, and each one costs $350, okay, you're getting 3640 of revenue for that person versus a person spending 349 for a membership is going to get you 4188. So right there you're $500 short. Now let's take that, and you might have to replay this or play this on slower speed so you can get it. Okay. So someone is in a membership that's a 12 class a month membership for $349. They're going to pay that every month for 12 months, which at the end of a year is going to be $4,188. You then have someone that has a 10 class package that's also $350. If they're coming twice a week, every 5 weeks, you would think they would buy a new package. Okay. That would be 10 packages a whole year, which would be 3640. So already, even if they stay super consistent, they're already spending less than the membership person. But now, what happens if this 10 class package person goes on vacation for a week, doesn't renew? Okay. Decides that they end up going, oh, I'm just, you know what? I'm going to take another week off. Right. So what we saw in our research was it took most people on average 8 to 9 weeks to use those 10 sessions. Okay. So let's even say just on a more conservative side, it takes them 8 weeks to use those sessions. So if every 8 weeks they're buying, right, that means that that's 6.5 packages a year. All right. So that means now you're down to 2275. So you can see that it also ultimately having a class pack model will bring in less revenue annually for you because most people will space out the time that they take to buy another session. So you're always going to have your outliers that buy a 10 class card and rebuy it in 2 weeks. But what we found was on average, people buy new packages. And I know this because I recently redid this study recently for Studio Metrics to present to someone. And we found that it took about 8 to 9 weeks for somebody to renew that package. So basically what I'm telling you is not only are you missing out on, consistency and recurring revenue, you're actually missing out on like almost twice the amount of revenue. So one of the things that I really, really want you to consider is how can you message and how can you articulate the value of a membership to your customers, right? So the scariest part for most studios is, well, how do I make this change? And here is the way that I suggest you do it. It's basically like a little roadmap. First of all, announce it with excitement. Announce it to your clients like this is an amazing thing that's happening, not as an apology, not like I'm sorry to notify you that these are the changes that we have to do. No, be really excited. Pilates in the Grove is super excited to announce the beginning of XYZ membership and all the member perks you will get when you join this program. It's good for the client. It decreases the amount that they're going to pay each and every month. It gives them more access because usually it could be like, oh, members get parking for free, or members get water for free, or members get a free pair of socks once a quarter, or whatever you can do, right? And they have more accountability. So the way that we do it in the studio is when people come in for their first visit, their new client intro, we have a very specific sales process. We even have visuals at the studio that will show people, okay, and our PR administrators are amazing. And so they will talk to the people about like, how'd you like it? What'd you think? Do you think this is going to be part of your everyday fitness? Do you think it's just going to be an adjunct to what you're already doing? How many times a week? So they're having a conversation with these people. And they will recommend. So they'll say like, the best bang for your buck is 4 times a month, which means you can come 4 times a week. You can come twice a week, every other week. You can come once a week. It's $129. It's fabulous. If you go over, you get a special drop-in rate that's a little discounted off the regular drop-in rate. If you don't feel comfortable with that and you don't want to be locked into the membership, which are month to month, by the way, so you can cancel anytime, you can do a class pack. The smallest one we have is 10 classes. It's $385 right now, and you have a year to use it. So you could also try the membership for a month and see how you like it. If you're coming, and then we can always transition after a month. So it gives the client the onus to basically like opt out, right? So you can also, if you do not have memberships on your schedule right now or on as a service offering, you can create things like founders rates for early adopters or little perks for the first 10 people that sign up for a membership. Really educate. So the biggest objection you'll get is like, oh, well, for 12 sessions, for example, well, I won't come 12 times. Well, even if you only come 10 times, you're paying the same amount as you would if you buy a 10 class package. And if you want, you have 2 extra sessions that you could do throughout the week or throughout the month, right? Or for example, if someone says, oh, I want the 4 classes a month, but what if I want to come 5 times? Oh, no, that's no problem. You get a special drop-in rate that's less than the regular drop-in rate. Okay. So memberships actually in the long run save people money. And this is actually how you have to discuss it. And the way that we recommend is that you say up to 12 classes a month, up to 8 classes a month. So you have the benefit to take up to 8 classes, not 8 classes, because then they think they're losing out if they don't take the full amount of classes. Maybe for the highest tiered people, for people that are getting 12. So ours is we actually do 13 classes for $349 because we're kind of being like, yeah, if you buy it, you get an extra class every month. You could maybe do special discounts where people that buy that membership, people that are on that membership get like 2 guest passes a year, or they can be part of your ambassador program and get first dibs on class scheduling or all of that different kind of stuff, which we also talked about in a more recent episode where we talked about how to avoid burnout, how to create more recurring revenue and more stable income in your business. And so we talked all about these little different incentives and these little ways that you can package your memberships and your services to get people to have to get you to have like a little extra wiggle room in your revenue. All right. So having recurring revenue versus class packs is a really, really great way to lock in financial stability. And so one of the things we recommend is auto renewal memberships. I also recommend that if you're doing memberships, you prorate everyone. So everyone's billing will start on the first of the month or the fifth of the month. So what that basically means is if someone wants to buy the membership on May 14th, that you prorate them 2 weeks for the end of May, and then their regular billing cycle starts June 1st. Okay. And so you prorate them 2 weeks and then they automatically pay you June 1st. That way, each and every first of the month, you're going to get a $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in your bank account, which is a really, really great feeling. You also want to be really clear on your billing and cancellation policies. How can they cancel? We now have to have an option for them to cancel themselves. Okay. What is the time frame for which they have to cancel? Like 7 days, 21 days, 15 days in advance. Okay. And then if you're interested in giving like longer term, a little discount for longer term commitments, like if someone signs up for a 6-month membership or a 12-month membership, they can still pay monthly, but they're committed for 6 months or 12 months. You can offer a slight discount for that. And then you do get a little bit of the money up front. What I usually suggest in terms of well, you don't actually get the money up front. You usually they're still on a payment plan, but they're just paying it. They're committing to paying that much. Okay. You can, and this is how you can basically like reward contract members, like people that signed a 6-month contract or a 12-month contract versus month-to-month members. Again, less is more. So I really, if you are considering this, try to refrain from doing 15 different options. So if you do month to month and you do 4 classes, it's this amount, and 8 classes is this amount, and 12 classes is this amount. But if you do commit to 3 months, it's going to be 4 classes for this amount and 8 classes for this amount. And if you commit to 6 months, it's too confusing. And when you have too many options, people just self-select out. And they're like, I can't make a decision. So less is more. And also with the membership, you still want to figure out what the average price per student needs to be in your class, right? So if you know, because you've been doing your analytics and you've been looking at your numbers, and you know that you need the lowest you can have for somebody to pay is $26, then your highest membership, meaning like where people get the most discount, the class should be no less than $26. And everything else above that is higher. Okay. So I want to reiterate again, I don't think class packs are bad. I just don't believe they should be the foundation of your business. Membership models and different pricing options create financial stability that will allow you to grow more organically. I want you to think about if you're choosing not to change or not to consider a new model for your business, that you're doing it because you understand that that is the value of your business, not because you're fearful of the change. And I always remind like business owners about this. The health of your business directly impacts the health of your clients. If your business is not financially healthy, you will not be able to have the kind of impact on your clients that you want. A financially strong studio serves people better. Punto final. End of sentence, period. A financially strong studio serves people better. That's it. That's that is what we are all searching for because we want to help our people as best as we can. And the more financially stable you are, the better you will be able to serve your clients. Period. All right. If you are really looking for a business that feels calm, is predictable, can be scalable, moving beyond just class packs will be a huge, huge step in the right direction. I promise you. Okay. I'd also love to offer support and guidance to anyone who's considering this change. If you're interested in joining my month to month membership, which is cancel anytime you want, 30 days, $99. That's it. $99 a month gets you 2 live coaching calls each and every month, plus discounts on one-on-ones with me, which really will move the needle in your business. So if you're interested in exploring that and joining us for more free trainings I do inside my membership, check out my website at www.kristagurka.com/fitbizfoundations, or follow me on Instagram. I'm at Krista Gurka. You can shoot me a DM over there. And that's all I got for you, ladies. I hope you found this episode educational and maybe insightful, and it will just give you a little something to think about in terms of should you start evaluating if you should move beyond just class packs and drop-ins for your business. All right. I always love to hear from you. Follow me over on Instagram. And then again, you can check out my website, www.kristagurka.com/fitbizfoundations. And until next time, my friends, bye for now.